Alright, good morning. It's at Love Clark, and I'm going to read part of a pamphlet to you guys. It's called The Jewish Response to Missionaries, Counter-Missionary Handbook by Rabbi Zion Kravitz. It's called Jews. The group's called Jews for Judaism. Now, you might have heard of Jews for Jesus and all these different things. Now, the reason why I'm reading this is not because I want to be a Jew or not want to be a Jew or I want to pick on anyone or anything like this, okay? This is to point out that not all Jews appreciate these Christian attempts to convert their people, and they don't appreciate Christianity as much as you'd like to pretend they do. Christian Zionists. Okay, people? So, and it's not an attack on Jews or their character. It's just to point out they might not appreciate every attempt that you make to try to convert their people. Okay? And it also shows that they draw a line, and then there's a certain amount of prejudice, quote unquote. I didn't mean it in a bad way, but prejudice or whatever you want to call it in their own thinking. They want to keep their people pure. They don't want their people believing in something else. Just as much as you'd be mad if you're one of your Christian kids or whatever, if you're a Christian, and they came home from school, and said somebody had been trying to convert them to another religion. You'd be pissed if you believed. Anyway, so I thought this was interesting, and this is to point out that there is real differences, okay? There's a difference in the way people look at things. Okay. So I'm going to read. Here's part of it. Okay. The Jewish Response to Missionaries, Counter-Missionary Handbook. The reason why I'm reading this is because it helps us to understand where they come from and what they actually believe, and that we don't have to try to mix everything into a Babylon and try to confuse, because this is maybe some people getting confused. Okay. Forward. For many years I have been familiar. Let's move around. Sorry. This. Hold tight. Okay. For many years, I have been familiar with the fine international organization Jews for Judaism. Its founder and West Coast director, Rabbi Zion Kravitz, has worked arduously within the Jewish community to offer counseling services and educational material to counter the arguments of missionary claims. The work of Jews for Judaism has had a major impact in disseminating the truths embodied in Jewish tradition. As a scholar of the history of Christianity and comparative religion, I can affirm that Rabbi Kravitz is quite correct. Many forms of evangelical Christianity target Jews for conversion, and in some cases use questionable tactics to do so. As a teacher of religious studies, theology, and ethics at Stanford, Princeton, the University of California, and a number of other universities, I have dealt firsthand with the theological issues of messianism, salvation, vicarious atonement, and the like. Needless to say, these questions raised among Jewish students, both in the lecture halls and outside of class, can be very challenging. In fact, one of the greatest issues impacting the Jewish collegiate today is the threat of manipulative and deceptive missionary practices. From a scholar's perspective, one of the most dangerous and confusing of the tactics is the way missionaries use the Hebrew Bible. This is, to be sure, nothing new. As many scholars have demonstrated, Christian groups from the beginning reinterpreted the Hebrew Bible in order to support their claims that Christianity superseded Judaism. But this is not the Jewish perspective and not even the claim of all Christians. Today, even Christians are re-examining the roots. Excuse me. Today, Christians are re-examining. Excuse me, I gotta get this up real quick. Okay, drink coffee. Mouth is dry. Needless to say, these questions raised among Jewish students, both in the lecture halls and outside of class, can be very challenging. In fact, one of the greatest issues impacting the Jewish collegiate today is the threat of manipulative and deceptive missionary practices. From a scholar's perspective, one of the most dangerous and confusing of these tactics is the way missionaries use the Hebrew Bible. This is, to be sure, nothing new. As many scholars have demonstrated, Christian groups from the beginning reinterpreted the Hebrew Bible in order to support their claims that Christianity superseded Judaism. But this is not the Jewish perspective and not even the claim of all Christians. Today, many Christians are re-examining the roots of their religion and with dismay recognizing the anti-Jewish sentiments at its core. Many Christians are also approaching Judaism with an open mind, learning to appreciate the unique truths of Judaism's Torah and rabbinic tradition. However, the evangelical missionaries who target Jews remain unaware of or actively resist the deeper historical understanding of Christianity. These groups that spread confusion among our young people should be the object of our concern. Jews need to become familiar with the issues these groups raise and effective ways to respond to them. The Jewish response to missionaries is an excellent handbook for individuals, Jew or Gentile, who are perplexed by the issues raised by biblical proof texts and theological debates involving the basic difference between Judaism and Christianity. Whether you are a rabbi, academician, student, or concerned parent, I highly recommend you read and share this booklet. Shalom. Dr. Tamar Frankel, lecturer in Religious Studies, University of California, Riverside. Okay, so if you can see why a person such as myself would be reading this, no, I'm not converting to Judaism. No, I don't want to be a Jew. I want people to recognize their Hebrew written books were written by Jews in Israel and those type of people, and therefore your Christianity is misunderstood. There's so many myths with your Christianity as to historical facts. Okay, and these people want to clear it up. I don't blame them to a degree. I mean, I really don't. It's protecting their traditions, protecting their way, and protecting their race. Excuse me. Jews for Judaism. The response to an urgent need. Okay. On ABC's award-winning news program 2020, Barbara Walters recently asked, what if your 12-year-old came home and said an adult had persuaded him to change his religion? This question introduced the story of a boy who was coerced into conversion 3 months shy of his bar mitzvah. His conversion took place during a youth program held in Southern Baptist Church. The church member who spoke to this boy told him that he could be Jewish and Christian at the same time. The report made clear that a serious threat to the Jewish community has taken on new proportions. According to recent Gallup and Harris polls, there are over 70 million born-again Christians in North America. many of whom are convinced that in order for Jesus to return, the Jewish people must first be converted to Christianity. Christian denominations such as Southern Baptist Convention, which passed a resolution in 1996 targeting Jews for conversion, and the Assemblies of God, as well as countless other Christian groups worldwide, contribute more than $250 million annually to aggressively evangelize Jews. These evangelical Christians have established special Hebrew Christian synagogues to attract Jews. Such synagogues have grown in number from 20 to over 400 in the last 20 years. Missionaries convince their recruits that they are not complete as Jews until they accept Jesus as the Messiah, and that a Jew retains his or her Jewish identity after converting to Christianity. According to a 1990 Council of Jewish Federation population study, over 600,000 Jews in North America alone identify with some type of Christianity. Over the past 25 years, more than 275,000 Jews worldwide have been converted specifically by missionaries who use deceptive tactics and masquerade Christian beliefs in the guise of Judaism. The gospel is preached by Messianic rabbis wearing yarmulkes and talsim prayer shawls at Shabbat and high holiday services. These Hebrew Christians promote their Christian faith by using a new name, Messianic Judaism. These groups have influenced evangelical churches to adopt the same deceptive techniques. For the first time in history, Jews are welcomed into the church and told that they can retain their Jewish identity. Church members then introduce the Jew to someone Jewish who has accepted the Lord. This method of proselytizing Hebrew Christian increases the number of contact people who serve as conduits to the Hebrew Christian missionaries, to include Christian associates at work, at school, and in social settings. In addition, new programs such as the $16 million theme park in Orlando, Florida, called the Holy Land Experience, and traveling conferences like To the Jew Hold First in the New Millennium are virtual training grounds to teach Christians how to effectively evangelize their Jewish acquaintances. Excuse me. Get a drink real quick. Have patience, please. Okay. These missionary groups. Okay, here. Let's go back up. Sorry. To the Jew Holy Land Experience, blah, 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 are virtual training grounds to teach Christians how to effectively evangelize their Jewish acquaintances. Contrary to popular perception, it is not only emotionally unstable Jews who fall prey to missionaries' efforts. In fact, all Jews are susceptible. Missionaries often target college campuses, hospitals, drug rehabilitation programs, seniors' residences, and shopping malls in Jewish neighborhoods, as well as the Israeli community, Soviet immigrants, and intermarried couples. They deliberately misquote, mistranslate, and misinterpret Jewish scriptures and rabbinical texts an attempt to prove that Jesus was both the Jewish Messiah and God. Their delegitimation of Judaism in concert with their misleading exploitation of Jewish symbols, religious artifacts, and even traditional music serve to confuse the potential convert, making him or her more vulnerable. Let me pause for a second. I'll tell you why I don't like this in a way too. Because this conversion is still conversion. It's not better for them. They're no better off learning more falsehoods and just adding on more Christian bull crap. Okay, they're not. It's not helping them. So they're all the Christian bull crap I've had to walk away from that I found be untrue. They're going to have to do that struggle too eventually if they find out. So why even walk up to something when it's bullshit as well? So in a way, these people are just going from one bullshit to another bullshit. These missionary groups, over 900 in North America alone, are active worldwide and can be found in almost every Jewish population center. Several governing bodies in the movement have considerable political clout. One has even been granted observer status at the United Nations. Several groups have founded Messianic Jewish day schools for children and yeshivot, where they produce ordained Messianic rabbis. There are over 100 Messianic congregations in Israel and over 38 in the former Soviet Union. These groups prey almost exclusively upon uneducated, unaffiliated, and unalienated Jews. And I use the word prey as in stalking after its victims, not pray as in pray with your hands together to your God. These groups prey almost exclusively upon uneducated, unaffiliated, and alienated Jews. In response to this ever-growing threat, Jews for Judaism International was established in 1986, the only worldwide counter-missionary resource and outreach network. Jews for Judaism has branches in Los Angeles, New York, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Toronto, Johannesburg, South Africa, and Melbourne, Australia. And its two primary goals are preventative education and winning back those Jews who have been influenced by missionaries. Jews for Judaism achieves these goals through counseling Hebrew Christians, monitoring missionary activity, and offering a speakers bureau and intense counter-missionary courses. Jews for Judaism is also a pioneer in the use of multimedia advertising and the worldwide distribution of counter-missionary materials. We have produced a wide selection of literature and audio and video tapes available in English, Russian, and closed caption for the hearing impaired. Additionally, we have a highly acclaimed website at www.jewsforjudaism.com. The best antidote to Hebrew Christian missionaries and cults is an educated, committed Jewish community. Jews for Judaism offers several programs outlining the nature and extent of the efforts to convert Jews and explaining how to counteract them. These courses foster an awareness of missionaries' techniques, including fallacies and deceptions used by missionary groups who misinterpret Judaism. Jews are often confused and intimidated by missionaries. It is important that we understand the theological flaws in the Hebrew Christian argument that accepting Jesus as a fulfillment of Judaism. While most Jews know that we do not accept Jesus as Messiah or God, few are able to explain why. To this end, Jews for Judaism also provides campus outreach to Russian Jews, and outreach to Hebrew Christians. Voluntary counseling is available to those who have become involved in a Hebrew Christian group. Based upon the premise that the individual did not have enough information at the time to make an informed decision, he or she is presented with the Jewish arguments to counter the Christian perspective. Several of our branches have developed support groups offering understanding and encouragement to individuals and families touched by missionaries and cults. How successful is Jews for Judaism? There is a 60 to 70% chance that any Jewish person who is considering converting to Christianity or already has converted will return to Judaism if they are willing to listen to the Jewish point of view. Most of these individuals leave our counseling with a renewed pride and a vital appreciation of their Jewish heritage. Chapter 2 is called The Obsession to Convert Jews. It's going to be very interesting. I ought to just keep going, huh? Should I keep going? I think that's good for now. We'll make a part 2, maybe 3 and a 4. Alright? It's at Love Clark. Love you guys, love.